3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me as well on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Coming up 20 minutes from now, former Louisville star, won a national championship. We recognize it. The NCAA may not. He was also the outstanding player of that Final Four, and that is Luke Hancock is going to join us in 20 minutes from now. And then at the top of the hour at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time, we will be joined by Ryan Hot Take Hickey. So he'll join us for his weekly chat. I got to start off with some news from earlier this morning. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network. The Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on JJ McCarthy, telling other teams they are moving forward with him as their quarterback, sources say. The team plans to add a veteran, but they are not, once again, they are not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. So, I read that tweet, and I do believe that JJ McCarthy, as long as he's healthy, and he doesn't suffer another injury, is going to be the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback come week 1, right? I have sat here. I have said that for the last few weeks. I have not wavered off of it. I have believed that the Minnesota Vikings are not going to go on out there and bring in Aaron Rodgers. That's what I've said. And I have not wavered off of it. Now, Aaron Rodgers is the desperate guy here. He is trying to talk to the really attractive girl, and he's hoping to secure a date. The really attractive girl, though, in this case, told Aaron Rodgers, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'm good. You're washed up. You're a little bit too old for me. I'm not interested in you. That's what transpired right here. This is not, Aaron Rodgers told the Minnesota Vikings no. For right now, the Vikings told Aaron Rodgers no. But even with what I just said, how I've always believed JJ McCarthy was going to be quarterback 1 for the Minnesota Vikings, and I didn't think they would actually sign Aaron Rodgers because it didn't make sense to me. It really didn't. But I read this Pelissero tweet, and even what I just said, the wording of the tweet, and I hate to do this because the Rodgers stuff just never ends, but the wording of the tweet makes me say, hold on. I don't know if we could lay to rest the conversation of Aaron Rodgers potentially going to Minnesota. Because the first part of this tweet would say, okay, put the nail in the coffin on the idea of Aaron Rodgers going to the Vikings. When it's the Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on JJ McCarthy, telling other teams are moving forward with him as their quarterback, sources say. If that was it, this is done. This is over with. This is finished. But when it's followed up, space, new line, next paragraph, the team plans to add a veteran, but they are not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. Those two things make me say, maybe this isn't over. So they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time, and McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. So what could change here? Could McCarthy get hurt and then they swoop in and get Aaron Rodgers? Sure. Could they maybe not like what they see in the offseason from McCarthy? If Rodgers is still out there, could they swoop in? Sure. But maybe this has to do with financials. I'm just throwing this out there. I will preface this by saying I did not talk to anyone about this. This is total speculation. But I would assume that Aaron Rodgers still wants to be paid a pretty penny, right? You would assume that. So is Aaron Rodgers, right? One report was $90 million over 2 years is what the Giants are supposedly offering him. And then he would be willing to take a little bit less from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Minnesota Vikings, why they're going to JJ McCarthy, is for two reasons. Number one, they just used a 10th overall pick on him last year. But also, the Minnesota Vikings, the last few years, have basically built their team telling you, we're not going to pay Kirk Cousins. We got Justin Jefferson. We got Jordan Addison. We added in TJ Hawkinson. We added in Aaron Jones. right? They just made that trade for Jordan Mason, which I think is going to be a good move with how little they paid to go get him via trade. And we're going to build the team. And for right now, we're not going to tie ourselves up with a quarterback that has a big salary. So did Minnesota maybe have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers? And they asked Aaron Rodgers, what is it going to take on a one-year deal? And maybe Rodgers or his representations, his representatives, they threw out a number. And Minnesota's like, no, we'll go for JJ on his second year of a rookie contract instead of paying Aaron, I don't know, $35, $40 million a year. Or maybe north of that. But if Aaron comes back to them after getting told, we're not interested for now, is Aaron going to come back to them and say, hey, maybe I'll give you a huge discount because if I go to the Steelers, the best I could do there is win a playoff game. If I go to the Giants, I'm going to be running for my life, and I'm just going to be chucking and praying that Malik Neighbors is going to be on the other side of the field, down the field to catch the football. So could Aaron Rodgers potentially call up Minnesota, directly call up Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and say, forget about my representation. Forget about my agents. I want to be a Minnesota Viking. I want to be there for 1 year. I want to throw the football to Justin Jefferson. I want to throw the football to Jordan Addison. I want to hand the football off once again to Aaron Jones. I want to throw the football to TJ Hawkinson. I want to beat up on the Chicago Bears again. Sorry, Chicago. I want to go win the division up against Detroit, right? Could he potentially say, you know what? I want to go up against Green Bay twice a year. Could he potentially say, I'll do it at a ridiculously low price? I don't know if it's the Russell Wilson veteran minimum, but this isn't about the money. I guess it's possible. But do I think Aaron Rodgers has the ego to do that? Probably not. But I do think it is still a very small possibility. And here's the funny part. The other day, I thought there was no chance he would go to Minnesota. And now I'm sitting here saying, well, just the wording of this Pelissero tweet, maybe it leaves open a little small chance, a little sliver of hope of Aaron still going to Minnesota. Because that back end of that statement, the team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. The first part where it's like, oh, they're rejecting trade calls. They making McCarthy the guy. They're not pursuing Rodgers. That seems like there was finality here. That's what it seemed like. But when you follow it up with, they're not pursuing Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. If Rodgers is willing to wait, and if Rodgers is willing to be a drama whore, which we know he's willing to do, because at this rate, all right, the Vikings told you thanks, but no thanks today, Aaron. Why aren't you already signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Why isn't this already done? Because I think this is Minnesota saying, we're good with JJ McCarthy, but we're at least willing to scratch that itch if, Aaron Rodgers, you come crawling, you come begging, and you basically say, guys, I'll play at a very, and I mean a very small price tag. And even then, Minnesota may not say, hey, we're rocking and rolling with you. But I don't even think Minnesota is going to consider the possibility of Aaron Rodgers and seriously consider the possibility of Aaron Rodgers until Aaron gets down on one knee and basically says, pretty please, Kevin O'Connell, I'm imploring you. I need a home. I need Justin Jefferson. I need Jordan Addison. I need TJ Hawkinson. I need to reunite with Aaron Jones. I need to play indoors. I need to play back in the NFC North. That's the only way. If Rodgers, who is desperate right now, finally starts to show his desperation and is willing to take a deal that is so small. Because Minnesota has built this team telling you, we're going to cheap out on the quarterback. We are not going to pay the quarterback a king's ransom right now. And until Aaron is willing to play that game, I think by the Pelissero reporting, there's still a door open. But until he's willing to play that game, I don't even think the Vikings are going to consider Aaron Rodgers. Now, if I'm running the team, I'm telling Aaron, this is it. This is over, and we're going to JJ McCarthy. And can I sit here and say that JJ McCarthy is going to be a great quarterback in this league? No. But here's what I know about JJ McCarthy. 27-1 at Michigan. National champion JJ McCarthy. Walked in, Michigan got spanked around all the time by Ohio State. He goes in, he tells everyone, calm down, relax, we're going to save the program. We're going to turn the program around. And he smacked Ohio State 3 times. Beat him 3 times. JJ McCarthy. So, or 2 times, excuse me. So, and won 2 Big Ten championships and won a national championship. So, when I look at JJ McCarthy, do I think JJ McCarthy, who was a game manager in college, well, actually, he beat Ohio State 3 times. They beat him 4 straight years. Sorry. They beat Ohio State so many times, I'm losing track. And you know me, guys, I'm not great when it comes to math. So I may have shortened that of a Big Ten championship. I may have shortened that of another victory up against Ohio State. But anyway, that's what happens when you're king. That's what happens when you keep on beating up Ohio State. But the bottom line is, when J.J. McCarthy was at Michigan, everyone says, oh, great offensive line, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, game manager. All those things are true. But can you really remember his wide receivers? You really remember Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson? Like, come on. This guy will be asked to do more in Minnesota. They believe in him for a reason with the Minnesota Vikings. And he has a great 1-2 punch at wide receiver. He has a very good backfield, and he's got a coach who just won Coach of the Year. And last year, because of the injury, he got to sit, react, watch, listen, and take it all in from the sideline. So do I think when J.J. McCarthy is asked to do more, when J.J. McCarthy is thrown in as QB1, that he could be good in Minnesota? I do. Do I know that he could be great? That I do not know. But I think this is the perfect storm and the perfect time. Like, this is the time to go to J.J. McCarthy. So even if Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca Aaron, comes running back or crawling back because he's on that ayahuasca stuff, and very slowly says to you that he will take a cheap deal and he will do, a very, very small salary, you may think about it, but I still don't anticipate Kevin O'Connell to say, okay, we're rocking and rolling and we're going with Aaron Rodgers. It just feels like, I've been saying it for the last month, I'll continue to say it, it just feels like with their formula, what they want to do, how they constructed this football team, right now is the perfect time to go to J.J. McCarthy. It really is. And, right, Matthew Collar, who joined us last week, he was even talking about how he was pressing in the offseason. And he didn't think that Sam Darnold necessarily, if JJ was healthy, could have held on to that job for the entirety of the season. Even with that, at times, that Sam Darnold did play. And you know what? I'll tell you this. Even though it's Sam Darnold, that's a pretty low scale. If you tell me that JJ McCarthy was going up against the Lions, would he have done better than what Sam Darnold did at the end of the season? I think so. Would you have told me if the Vikings had J.J. McCarthy at the end of the season up against the Rams? I'm not saying they would have won the game, but he would have played better than Sam Darnold? I think so. Because J.J. McCarthy, say what you want about him, question him, doubt him, be a hater, dude's a winner. And I don't think he may not have won those games, but I don't think he would have urinated down his leg like Sam Darnold did up against the Lions and the Rams. I do not. So JJ is now the man in Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers, they're not pursuing him for now, unless if he begs, and then I still think they would say thanks, but no thanks. And for the future of Aaron Rodgers, you put a gun to my head and say, where is he going? I still think he goes to Pittsburgh, but clearly he will talk himself into wanting to go to Pittsburgh and how, this is where he always wanted to go, blah, blah, blah. All the respect for Mike Tomlin. You got DK Metcalf, you got George Pickens. He'll play it up. There's no doubt about it. But let's be real. The fact that he still hasn't made a decision yet just shows you that he's content with going to Pittsburgh, but he doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh. He wants to go to Minnesota. And the fact that he still hasn't made this decision yet, and in all likelihood probably won't even make it this week. I'd be surprised. It's Wednesday. Watch, we'll get breaking news in 5 minutes. But I'd be surprised today, Thursday, Friday, when we do 3 more shows during the week, if we're getting Aaron Rodgers news that Aaron Rodgers has picked his destination. I'd be surprised by that. And the fact that that's going to continue to linger, and the longer it lingers, just continues to make it a thing of, do you really want to go to Pittsburgh? Even though Pittsburgh is a fine destination. But the more this waits, after the Vikings said no, it just doesn't make sense to me then why Aaron wouldn't swoop in and immediately make his decision and continue his football career. But I would say that Aaron's going to be starting for the Steelers next year. All right, we'll go to Luke Hancock next. The former Louisville Star will join us. We'll talk a little NCAA tournament, talk about his old coach, and Rick Pitino, who is in the NCAA tournament with St. John's as a number 2 seed. Louisville, right? Excellent job by Pat Kelsey. They'll be going up against Creighton, a fun 8-9 matchup. We got a whole lot of ACC, whole lot of NCAA tournament talk, and we'll do so next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, NCAA Tournament, great time of the year, obviously. Let's go out to the guest line right now. Welcome in an NCAA champion at Louisville, was the Final Four most outstanding player back in 2013. Now does a kick-ass job with ESPN and the ACC network, and that's Luke Hancock here with us. Luke, appreciate the time as always. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Best time of the year. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so is this right? The NCAA, right, they acknowledge you won the most outstanding player, but the tournament, they still say, is vacated and doesn't exist. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I guess I'm the most outstanding player of a tournament that didn't happen in the NCAA's eyes, but we don't really listen to them very often.
It's so stupid. And I'm sorry to bring it up this way, but when I was going through, obviously, your career before the show, I'm like, oh, they gave him back the acknowledgement of the most outstanding player, but they still don't acknowledge the championship. I hate that part of the NCAA, and I think it's just so silly that they haven't acknowledged you guys as champions since then.
Yeah, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the way the NCAA runs things very often, but I think they continue to kind of shoot themselves in the foot. But honestly, it hasn't changed very much for me whether we got the MOP back or not. We played the games. This time of year still brings back the greatest memories. I do think it's the best time of the year.
Well, let's get to Louisville this year. I remember when we were talking when that job was open last year, and I'm like, all right, obviously you got to call Scott Drew, and he says no. To me, it should have been Dusty May or Pat Kelsey. Obviously, they did go with Pat Kelsey, and man, what a job he's done here in year number one as they're seated as an 8th seed going up against Creighton. And quite frankly, I kind of liked it when they showed Pat Kelsey. He's like, wow, I thought we were going to be seated a lot higher. You could just tell the reaction, and he has a good argument to make there. But what a year it's been for Louisville.
Yeah, what an unbelievable year. I think they tied at this point most wins season to season in ACC history, and I think it's coming off the COVID year for some other teams, so there's obviously a different situation there, but he's definitely reinvigorated the entire fan base. I mean, watching games this year, I'm usually working games, so I don't hear the sound, but when I did, there was always a moment where announcers just kind of sat back and they just listened, and it was all of them talking about, this is awesome to have Louisville basketball back. I know that community's been so excited to see the job that Pat Kelsey has done. Every time I talk to him, he seems to be on the double shot of espresso. He's got all the energy in the world. I wish I had that kind of energy waking up every day, but the fan base has really gotten behind these guys. It's been awesome to watch. And you mentioned the seed. I think when you look at the bracket as a whole, I think West Virginia probably has the biggest gripe for not being in the tournament. I think number 2 is probably Auburn, and number 3 is Louisville. And I've been the 8th seed playing for George Mason. I've been the number 1 overall seed playing for Louisville. I cannot imagine, if I'm Auburn, having to go play the number 10 team in the country as my second game potentially. Now, Creighton's a great team. This is going to be a great battle. But if they get through that game, you have a relative home game for Louisville as the number 10 team in the country playing the number 1 overall seed. That's bad news for Auburn. I think they could still win that game, certainly, but a heck of a test early on in the tournament for sure.
And quite frankly, when I look at all the first-round matchups as they get underway tomorrow, that 8-9 matchup of Louisville-Creighton, it's the one that I first circled. I think that's the most exciting first-round matchup.
I mean, I would agree. I'm probably a little biased on that one. There's some great storylines in some of the first-round matchups. Those 8-9 games, I think all across the regions, they really sold those to be primetime battles. I love Georgia-Gonzaga, for example. I think that's going to be a great battle with big-time athletes and some guys that will be definitely playing at the next level. I think it's a really interesting matchup with Louisville-Creighton. Obviously, Ryan Kalkbrenner in the middle is an absolute monster in there. And if you look at Louisville, probably the weakness is defending some great front court players. They got worn down a little bit against Duke in the ACC championship. But again, back and forth. So Creighton gets worn down a little bit by the pace and the guard play in the St. John's game in the Big East final in that second half as well. So, again, I think it's going to be fantastic. Two great coaches. And I think both teams in that battle probably not seeded correctly. I think they should have been a little lower, both of them.
Luke Hancock here with us. I know that you talked about West Virginia having a gripe. UNC blew out San Diego State last night. What does that win say for UNC? Did maybe some people a little bit too harsh about UNC, or do you still think those criticisms of the resume of UNC were valid?
Oh, I think people were way too harsh. You can say this team or that team on the bubble. We always have some kind of gripe. But I got to see UNC up close and personal, especially the last 10 or so games of the season. And I know the eye test isn't everything. People want to harp on one metric. Their quad run resume is what it is. And if you want to say that's the end all be all, that's what you're going with, yeah, okay, then they shouldn't have been in. But if you check out their net, if you check out what Bart Torvik has them ranked the last month of the season, we don't have a recency bias in the way the metrics work anymore. That's part of the eye test. And so seeing them up close and personal, every bracket that I filled out had UNC not winning one game, but winning multiple games in the tournament. And I no shock at all that they played as well as they did last night, especially having their chip on the shoulder, not just because of what people said, but the way their ACC tournament ended.
And it's been a rough few days for the West Virginia fan, right? Not only did you not make the NCAA tournament, and Darian DeVries, after 1 year, he goes to Indiana. When you saw that move go down, what was your first reaction to that?
Just what you said. That's a real rough week for West Virginia basketball because he did a fantastic job this year. I thought when the committee came out and talked about Tucker not playing for them as a reason that they weren't in the NCAA tournament, it just was such a head scratcher, a big question mark. The guy hasn't played since December 6th, how that could factor in. That'd be like saying, Case and Pryor for Louisville is the reason why they're seated as high as they are. Well, if your resume still says that you should be an NCAA tournament team, the fact that the guy hasn't played the last 3 months absolutely shouldn't matter. It's great that he got that job in Indiana. I think he's a great coach, but West Virginia's on the search for their next coach. And I think they may have taken a little bit of a chance to get him into West Virginia. So I'm sure that hurts West Virginia fans that he's kind of in and out, but certainly leaves the program in a better place as well.
I know we're a prisoner of the moment, so I'm just using two previous examples. Dusty May goes to Michigan, boom, instant success. Pat Kelsey this year goes to Louisville, boom, instant success. Do you think Darian DeVries could have that instant, success that a little Kelsey and May impact in year one with the Hoosiers coming up down the road?
I absolutely do. I think it's obviously good that these coaches are coming in and having success in year one. I think it's putting some pressure on other coaches around the country, right or wrong. I don't know if that's always perfect because you look at a situation like Missouri and Dennis Gates, great year one, really struggles in year two. And then this year they've had a fantastic year again. So I'm not one for making a quick decision and pulling coaches and firing them early. But I think guys like Pat Kelsey and Dusty May have certainly put pressure on these other places. But ultimately, if you go to a place like Indiana, you have a coach that can get the job done and you pair that with the resources. It is quite obvious that Indiana has the resources to compete at the highest level. Their team was really talented. They just didn't seem to gel the right way. So it's not just having the money. As Nick Saban says, you got to pay the right guys. So we'll see the job he does in Indiana. But I would be putting my money on Coach DeVries to do a great job.
Kevin Keatts was in the Final Four last year with NC State, a remarkable run. A year later, he's out of a job. When something like that happens, it's like, okay, you got to go then get a big name. I think it was the worst kept secret out there that Will Wade was eventually going to get that job. Jeff Borzello, right before you got on board with us, tweeted out McNeese's Will Wade has reached an agreement to become the next head coach at NC State. Sources confirmed to ESPN. First reported also by Joe Giglio. Wade has won 57 games over the last two seasons at McNeese. Went to 5 NCAA tournaments at LSU and VCU. Like we all knew it was going to happen. He was openly talking about how he told his players he's been talking to NC State. But right before you get McNeese and Clemson, it is unfortunate for the kids that they find out that their coach is definitely leaving before they get to play in that first round game, even though he's going to coach in the game.
Yeah, Zach, I will say, the environment's different nowadays. Like these kids, have all elevated their platform playing for Will Wade and McNeese State. You know, it's not to say he can't take some of those guys. I'm sure he won't take the entire team, but their platform is going to be elevated. They hit the portal, they make more money. So I think, you know, as a guy who transferred 10 years ago, a little more than that, feels like 100 years ago, because the situation was just so different with my sit-out year and just the way this transfer portal works nowadays. I was really happy when Jim Larrañaga left George Mason and went to Miami, because you know, he got a better job. He went to the ACC. That was a dream of his, to get back there after being an assistant at Virginia for so long. That's how you need to do this environment now. I think you can't hold grudges. Transfers are certainly not looked at the way they used to be, and the environment's going to change all the time. So I think you have a coach, you have players who put the program and themselves in a better situation when they leave, and almost every team across the country has guys who move in and out. You got to kind of keep a smile on your face and take the most positive approach possible. And like I said earlier, some of these programs that are having coaches leave too early, they're firing guys quickly. I'm not necessarily for that. You know, Kevin Keatts is like family to me. I played for him at Hargrave and at Louisville. I thought, man, give that guy another opportunity. Come on, especially with the buyout money being what it was. It is what it is. It's a fast-moving business, and I think you're going to see some programs do it like that, and some programs do it like Virginia Tech is doing with Mike Young, where they say, you know what, we just haven't given this guy enough resources. Let's put a real investment behind the program and see what this guy can do. I'm definitely for the latter there.
Let's get to your former coach, what Rick Pitino has done at St. John's. I know we shouldn't be surprised, but it is still surprising, especially living in this New York area, New York City area. You know, they win their first conference tournament championship since 2000. They're a number 2 overall seed. They're going to be playing in Providence up against Omaha. I know that you were able to get to a Johnny's game at the Garden last time we did, check in with you. But, man, what is there to say at this point about Rick Pitino? It's unbelievable.
Never a doubt. You know, I think Rick's one of the greatest coaches of all time, if not the greatest. And there was no doubt that he would have St. John's basketball right back on top. I'm excited for him. The environment going to that UConn game was absolutely electric, and the Johnnies took care of business. The second half in that Creighton game for the Big East Championship, man, did it bring back memories. Wearing teams down, playing at that pace. It was so much fun to watch. And I'm really happy for Coach. Obviously, they've had a fantastic year. Thought the 2 seed was pretty fitting for them. My only gripe with Coach is that back when we played, we weren't even supposed to have Twitter. Again, it was a long time ago, but it was on the edge of when that was really getting going. He was very much against social media, and now the guy's going on Jimmy Fallon and having documentaries over the team. Things have really changed with Coach P, but it's awesome to see the exposure and him to get all this credit. You know, I'm a little shocked that he's going on as many sites and talking to as many people like Barstool Sports and whatnot as he is. But it's awesome people get to see a little bit more behind the scenes. And, you know, that's my coach. And even the stuff like seeing his halftime speech about battling adversity and that being about life, not just basketball. Where's your toughness? You know, I've heard those speeches a million times, and being in that locker room, there's just nothing like it. Coach can put confidence into players like no one else, especially when your back's against the wall. So I expect the Johnnies to do big things.
Yeah, I think he probably owes you a few suicide runs, right? You know, for talking to the media so much.
Well, he did just say I'm not for suicides very often, and I agree with that. Like, we had really tough conditioning in the summertime, but once you got to season, I always felt like your conditioning should be in competing, and that comes from Coach Pitino. And I'll tell you what, you play the king of the court drills the way he does, you play in the press like he does in practice. Tournament time is a huge advantage for the Johnnies, simply because games are dramatically easier than going to practice for Coach Pitino. I'll play back-to-back-to-back every day if I don't have to play another practice with Rick Pitino, because it was that intense every day.
Before we let you run, Duke, obviously a major storyline in this tournament. I hate to be like everybody else, but I got Florida and Duke in the national championship game with the Dukies cutting down the Nets, the Blue Devils. Cooper Flagg, the injury's a storyline. They won an ACC championship when he was still hurt. We'll see if he's able to go in the first game and how effective he will be. But is Duke, to you, the best team in this tournament?
They are when healthy. So I'm with you. I watched the SEC tournament and saw what Florida looked like. They're pretty unbelievable. Great guard lineup. They've got depth with the bigs that are strong, athletic guys. But when Duke is healthy, yes, I think they're the best team in this tournament. I think there's a compounding effect, though. Jay Lucas, the defensive coordinator for Duke, leaves before postseason play really starts. I think that's substantial. The defensive coordinator for the number one defensive team in the country leaves before, tournament time. That's got to mean something. And then you add Cooper Flagg with Malik Brown. Malik Brown is a backup center, but plays a ton of minutes, especially for particular matchups, like when they played Auburn early in the year. Malik Brown guarded Janai Broome most of that game. So he's a guy that allows them to switch 1 through 5, play on the perimeter defensively a little bit more, and is a big piece. He dislocated his shoulder in the ACC tournament. Now, he can come back from something like that. You're going to have surgery later on, I'm sure, and that's come from somebody with 3 scars here and 5 scars here. I've torn both my shoulders up. So he can play potentially if he can, and Cooper Flagg is ready to go. I do think Duke is the most talented team in this tournament.
He's Luke Hancock. Of course, you can catch him on the ACC Network, ESPN 93.9 The Ville. Luke, always appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll do it again soon. Happy hoops.
You got it. There he is, Luke Hancock, who won a national championship at Louisville, was a most outstanding player in the Final Four. Kind enough to join us right there for a few minutes on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. Let's get into Will Wade going to NC State. Also, Indiana landing Darian DeVries. We'll do all that on the other side. Update, though, time first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
And we have a riddle sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com. On the eve of the tournament, 2 coaches are making headlines. Both will be facing each other tomorrow. McNeese head man Will Wade has reportedly agreed to a deal with NC State to become their next head coach of the Wolfpack, and Clemson's Brad Brownell rewarded for the Tigers' strong season with a 6-year extension. The field of 64 tips off tomorrow, but tonight 2 more first 4 games as Mount St. Mary's takes on American for the right to meet Duke. Texas will face Xavier in the second game. The Longhorns started the season ranked in the top 25, but struggled in the grind to the SEC, where they were 13th in the conference with a 6-12 record. Head coach Rodney Terry said that competition prepared them for tonight.
If you're playing March basketball already mid-February, and even really for us in the SEC was pretty much throughout January that you were playing NCAA Tournament and March basketball, every possession really matters. The urgency that you have to play with really matters.
The winner will face Illinois. Aaron Rodgers remains a man of mystery. His next destination will not be Minnesota, which is reportedly going with JJ McCarthy. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
And it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listeners, get to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb. Using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stuart Kovacs is back with us after taking the last 2 days off. Stu's very close friend had a wedding, got married, and Stu was the best man. Did you have to give a speech? I'm assuming no?
No speeches.
Wow. No speeches at all.
No speeches at all.
Kind of actually like that.
Me too.
Now, was there a rehearsal dinner?
There was, yes.
Was there a speech at the rehearsal dinner?
No speeches there either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's been a popular thing now to do a lot of the speeches or all the speeches, maybe but like one at the rehearsal dinner. But I kind of like a wedding with no speeches. Now, did you feel like there needed to be a speech at the wedding at all?
No, it was pretty perfect. It was the right amount of food, the dinner, the dancing was great, the DJ was great. I don't think it needed it.
Yeah, because I'm usually, like, when you get too many speeches, it's not good.
Yeah.
I'm good with, like, one speech at a wedding because then it also breaks up the wedding a little bit and gives you a second to go sit down and kind of just relax and chill out. That's interesting. Were you nervous about giving a speech potentially, or was it made pretty clear that when you were the best man, like, hey, there's going to be no speeches at this point?
No, I mean, I thought about it, and it was told to me afterwards, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, that they weren't doing speeches, and I was like, oh, fine, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. So what other responsibilities did you have?
I carried the rings.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that's a lot of pressure.
That was a lot of pressure. I think that was enough in itself.
I think I'd have a heart attack, honestly. I would be so paranoid. There's times where, like, I'll charge my phone and I'll walk away and I keep on reaching into my pocket thinking my phone's going to be there. I could not imagine having 2 rings in my pocket worth a pretty penny and just sitting down and maybe they fall out of your pocket or something like that. Oh, I couldn't deal with that anxiety.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I checked my pocket like 200 times in the short amount of time that I had them in my pocket, which was probably like 20 minutes or something.
Now, let's not bury the lead. I heard you got a cheesesteak, correct?
I did.
Where'd you go?
D'Alessandro's.
There we go.
Yes.
You didn't do Pat's and Geno's.
What
was your honest review of D'Alessandro's?
Much better.
Oh, yeah. You were having basically cat food at the other place.
Yeah. The steak was better, more cut up. Mm-hmm. I think Pat's is just kind of lay it on there.
Did you get the onions?
I got the onions.
Okay. Did you do the banana peppers?
Did not.
Okay. Yeah, that's like a little trick there.
Okay.
No. I think they have banana peppers and they have red crushed peppers. I'm very simple with the cheesesteak. It's usually just onions, right? The bread and the meat. That's usually what I end up doing for a cheesesteak. But at D'Alessandro specifically, I will get the banana peppers and the red crushed peppers.
Okay.
Only place that I'll end up doing.
Next time I'll do that.
Yeah. How was the wait? Was it a long wait or no?
Ordered right away, waited like 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's some operation.
Not bad at all. Yeah. Very quick.
So
I was very happy with that.
Well, I'm glad that you got a good cheesesteak. That's a top 5 cheesesteak in Philadelphia. Did you? So you didn't go to Angelo's? I know that you wanted to go to Angelo's.
Closed Mondays, yeah.
Well, I guess we should do a cheesesteak day as a show. Like, we should go to that Danny and Coop's place, because that's basically Angelo's, just in New York City. The problem is, though, I think we'd have to all call out sick. You want to do that? Well, I know our boss is listening. He was just talking to me about a segment that he liked. And my JJ McCarthy take. David, we're going to call in a sick day. We're going to call out. All right? We're going to say, hey, we're sick. The whole show got sick. We got the Tracy Morgan food poisoning, right? That's what we ended up getting. Now, we're not going to have to throw up and all that stuff and be courtside at the Knicks just projectile vomiting. But maybe we just use a Zach Gelb Show sick day. We could do that once a year where the whole show just calls out sick. Who knows who they would have hosts? Who knows who they would produce? Who knows, who would also run the board? Quite frankly, we'll tell Act to call out as well. So who knows who will do the update? We always care. One day we'll just be like, bleep it, we don't care for a day. And we'll go get a cheesesteak. And the reason why is if I go to Danny and Coop's and get a big cheesesteak at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, there's no way I'm going to want to go in here and do a radio show for 3 hours when I'm just stuffed like a Thanksgiving turkey, for crying out loud. So you down with that, Samter and Stu, that we'll just we'll gather up all together and just all call out sick?
Maybe we can have the YouTube chat host the show.
That wouldn't be bad.
Ooh.
Daly would be a good host. What's in there?
2-ton Tourney?
Yeah.
I'd be worried about 2-ton.
Billy Wolf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be dangerous.
We get some people, even some of the people that don't like me.
We'll call Sully in. Sully will fly in on his private jet. Sully will be the host of the show.
Yeah, Sully would be great. We could definitely have a few people end up hosting the show from the YouTube chat. There's one guy, I forget his name. Oh, he hates my guts. Absolutely hates my guts. He hasn't been in the chat for a while, even though he listens all the time, because earlier in the football season, he was telling me how my picks sucked. And then I was 10 games above 500 at the end of the year. I forget who it was, but when I was off one day, when I was in Florida, I tuned in for about 5 minutes on the YouTube chat, and I saw that guy was here. And he was like, I'm just here today because Zach isn't here. Let's have Gresh replace Zach in the afternoons. So whoever that guy is, I forget who that was.
I think his name was Michael Samter.
Oh, yeah? You hate me that much?
Yeah, I think that's the guy.
Yeah, I forget who the guy's name is, but whoever the guy's name is that hates my guts, maybe he could host the show. I always say that. The people that hate you the most, I would love for them to come on in here and come host the show for 3 hours. Let's see what they have. And then I could play the role of the troll. Anyway, let's get back to Indiana and let's get to NC State. Indiana hiring Darian DeVries. This is a hire that I love. Like last year, I was all in on Pat Kelsey to Louisville, and I was all in on Dusty May to Michigan. I sat, there's a new guy that works here, Greg Frank, who I went to college with. And Greg is doing some stuff behind the scenes, and Greg goes, "Oh, you love Dusty May, you love Pat Kelsey." And I ended up being right. Dusty May, year one, Michigan, 5 seed, Big Ten champs, NCAA tournament. Year one for Pat Kelsey, Louisville, 8 seed, should have been seeded higher, NCAA tournament. So those were 2 exceptional hires. And we'll see how they end up aging. It's only 1 year. Let's not go nuts. But Darian DeVries was someone that I liked last year when he came on the show from Drake. And you knew that he was overdue to get a bigger job. He gets West Virginia, which is a very good job. But then Indiana opens up. And you know what? If I'm an Indiana fan, I'm excited. Like, no offense, Mike Woodson was a fine coach, but were you really excited when Mike Woodson was the coach? No. You needed someone that was younger. You needed someone with more energy, more personality, right? That's going to lay into the NIL and the transfer portal and all the nonsense that goes on now in college basketball. And I say nonsense that comes off in a bad way. I don't mean it that way. I'm not anti-NIL or transfer portal. But I think that this is a move for Indiana. If Darian DeVries can't get it moving back in the right direction, then who the heck is? Right? I know you said that with Miller when he was there, but seriously, who the heck is? So I thought this was a very good hire. And this was one that I didn't see coming, right, when you found out that Indiana was opening up and they were getting rid of Mike Woodson. I'll give credit to Luke Hancock, though, because we were in the newsroom, Ack and I, when we found out that Will Wade, right, that's going down and that's going to happen, that Will Wade's going to NC State. I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate for the kids. Right? They're playing in the NCAA tournament. He's still going to coach in the NCAA tournament, but it's like a distraction you don't need to deal with before, you have McNeese go up against Clemson. But the way Luke Hancock said it is he's probably going to take some of those players with him, to NC State. So there's so much change in, the world with players. I wouldn't like for that to be out there publicly, right, with all the reporting. But, I heard the coach say, I think it was earlier this morning or maybe it was yesterday. Yeah, my players are honest with me. I'm honest with my players. Yeah, I've been talking to NC State. And I didn't say he was taking the job then, but he said that he's been talking to NC State. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but, with Luke Hancock's, experience, George Mason and Louisville and transferring around, and now what goes on now, I think that he kind of laid it out perfectly. Where, yeah, my first reaction was, oh, that stinks for the kids, but a lot of those kids are probably going to follow Will Wade, and not all of them, from McNeese to NC State. And Will Wade's a good coach. If it wasn't for the scandal and them starting to lose a little bit, he probably would still be at LSU. But he's a really good coach. He deserves a bigger job. Did I have his next big job be at NC State 2 months ago? No. But once they got rid of Keats and they go to him, and that was speculated, you knew that was going to end up going down, and it's a good hire for NC State.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I'll take a calamari, some stone crabs. You got any bibs for the lobster? Ryan Hot Take Hickey is in studio, and the man's is in a tux. What's going on, my guy, Ryan Hot Take Hickey?
You want bibs? We got bibs for you. We got bibs and a lot more.
Well, what's up with this tuxedo? What's going on? Why are you in a tux?
Interview today, so I figured, interview today. Overnight position is open.
Oh!
Met with some of the big bosses, and I figured, well, most people wear a suit. How can I differentiate myself without looking like a clown? So I don't wear a tux.
Now, I don't want to talk too much about the vacant overnight position because I'm a team player here. I'm a company guy, and I don't want to say something that could annoy the bosses because they don't usually like when these jobs are open and we talk about them publicly. But now we know a candidate for the overnight job.
There you go.
You know?
In the flesh, I've revealed myself.
Pat Boyle's going to show up for something fancy next week. David Shepard. So I'm just saying, if people want to suck up to us on the afternoon shift, we will take it. You could openly campaign. Hickey didn't bring any gifts, just saying. So if someone wants to bring me dinner, someone wants to bring me a snack.
$500?
You know,
is that a number?
A little money? You know, I could be bought.
He takes bribes.
I could be bought. I am like the NCAA before the NIL and all that stuff. You want to drop off a bag of cash? I'm not going to pursue anything and try to get you in trouble until the allegations and the crime is actually committed and ends up getting brought to the public. So
he can be bought.
You bring anything?
I brought my presents, which I thought was going to be good enough.
Okay. That's fine. You brought some takes.
I brought some takes.
Well, you're the first person, so you wore the tuxedo.
So next person has to give you $500. The next person after that has to buy you a steak dinner. Next person after that,
yeah. Now I will say this:
buy you a vacation.
When you first got here, you were like a little quiet, nice guy. I'm not saying that you're like an a-hole now and you're a douche, but
basically
you were like a little timid.
Sheesh.
This is
of course, as I should be.
Yeah, fair.
You come in here, you be quiet, you put your head down, do the work.
Sure.
And then as people trust you, you start to open up a little bit
more.
more.
But the last few years, you've really leaned into kind of finding your voice, the entertainment part of the business, embracing the brand that is Hot Take Hickey, which is partially created because of me. But that's fine. This is now the second time that you've wore the tuxedo for a job interview. What was the first job you were interviewing for?
Actually, I've technically worn it 3 times.
Wait,
I wore
really?
it once for when DA's producer job opened and Sean Marash went down the hall.
Which never actually got
Which
filled.
never got off the
DA
ground.
left.
Then basically we did the whole process over again for when Maggie and Perloff came into the morning show and that producer job was open.
But Spike was here. He was the boss.
Correct. And so DA never saw it. Maggie and Perloff never saw it. And now interviewing Ryan Hurley, he's never seen the
New
tux.
boss.
So I figured, okay, it's still not... I'm not going back to the well one too many times. David's seen it, now Ryan, so I figured this is the last time I could kind of break it out where it's still fresh eyes, and this is the first time they see it.
And either this goes one or two ways. You either get the job, and then you don't need the tuxedo again, or you don't get the job, and then it's swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a miss.
I am
3 strikes, you're out.
0 for 2 right now. I guess if you want to say technically the DA's. The tux has not exactly brought some luck. So either we're going to break the streak or we're going to burn the tux. One of the two.
So Tux Take Hickey is here with us today. And I actually got a tweet about you. I got a lot of tweets about you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I get about my team's getting mushed. Here we go again.
God.
This Hickey said this, and then it was instantly wrong. But the legendary, what's his name on Twitter? Psych Mampter on Twitter.
Yeah, Psych.
He sent me a song to play today. He made a song, I guess through AI. I don't think he's sitting there and doing like the garage band and playing the songs and all that stuff, the notes and everything. But he sent me a song that he wanted me to play for you, and he thinks this should be how we start the Hot Take Hickey segment right here on the Infinity Sports Network. So Stu, 1, 2, a 1, 2, schooly-doo.
It's Hickey at night Sunday. I'm combing our hair with moose gel and spray. The takes are so hot, hot, hot. Sometimes it's right, usually not. This best segment is coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey hair. Hot takes and hair gel on a Sunday night. Hickey's dropping takes that probably aren't right. Dropping a teaser for what's coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey hairs. Talking Penn State while Stu's smoking kush, but Hickey is always the #1 rush. You will nicer and more, it's might get more sober than Stu. We only joke of us, we like you, but I have to ask, is it true? Is your hair held together by pace and loop? Oh, Hickey's takes are coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey hairs.
It's a job well done.
I do feel very flattered. This is now the second song made by Hick and Knight in the last week.
Wait.
Bobby Buckwheat has made a song as well.
Uh-oh.
And that's why I thought that was going to
now,
be played.
Bobby could get a little contentious. Did he take a lot of shots at you? Was it mean?
It was kind of similar. I will say.
He called you Shep 3,000 times?
No, he
like
did
that?
not. I think Psych Mampter song lyrics were funnier. The beat for sure way catchier Bobby Buckwheat.
Really?
Both similar country vibes, too. I don't know if it's an AI thing or they both had a similar idea.
Or they could be the same person.
Or they could be the same person. Who knows? Just two different personalities. But wow, I feel that's a very funny song. The Hickey X got me. That was very funny.
I know you're a beach guy.
Oh, big time.
I feel like I could bring my Bose speakers to the beach, play that song, crack open a beer, toes in the sand, kind of sitting there, sunscreen on, sandwich, all that stuff. Not a peanut butter sandwich, by the way, at the beach, because I don't think that's all that good. You do that, but I like peanut butter sandwiches not at the beach. And I think that's could be a summer activity.
That's it. Name me a better Saturday. I don't think you can.
You should send that song to your girlfriend, so when you guys go to the beach together this summer, that you guys.
I can't play that myself. That's a great song, very catchy. I can't play my own song.
That's what I said. Send it to your girlfriend.
No.
She'll play it for you.
No, I'm not. No.
I also love in the song how they think like Stu is this like alcoholic and this like
he was just in Arizona
big time
for a week.
pot smoker.
You know? And took off St. Patrick's Day.
Stu, do you want to defend or acknowledge any of these allegations that have been thrown your way by the listening audience?
I mean, I was pretty drunk this weekend,
right
to be fair.
Stu, are you sober? If we had a breathalyzer, would you pass?
Well, to be determined.
Could you legally drive home right now?
I don't know. Good thing I don't have to drive home.
I was wondering why in the opening segment of the show, he just started firing off random music. You know, Stu, what's going on?
Stu can't see. Oh, one song, everything's blurry.
Dude,
Classic
it's so
Stu.
loud. Ooh.
Well, clear out the pop before I come in, Stu. That's not exactly the most ventilated room. I don't want to get a secondhand high from your festivities.
Talking about drugs, ayahuasca Aaron got rejected for now by the Minnesota Vikings.
According to him and Adam Schefter, he did not get rejected. He was just waiting a while anyway, and maybe was never interested in the Vikings.
But no, the wording on the Pelissero tweet, though, is interesting.
It was a joke.
No. I understand what you were saying. I understand humor. You're like, okay at it. But anyway, the wording on the Pelissero tweet. So the first part, the Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on JJ McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with him as their quarterback, sources say. All right, nail in the coffin, right? It's done.
You would think.
But then he follows it up. The team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. I still believe that JJ McCarthy is going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings come week 1. The way I interpreted this is that we're not really interested in Aaron right now. If he wants to come to us and beg us to sign him and take a cheap deal, and I mean a really cheap deal, then maybe the Vikings would have a different conversation and maybe they would have to then think about it longer, because this has been the Vikings formula, and I'm assuming that Aaron Rodgers wasn't willing to take a big-time discount yet to go to Minnesota, like a little discount, but not a big-time discount. But the Vikings formula has been build up the team and then cheap out in terms of the salary on the quarterback.
I took that as not money-related, but JJ McCarthy health-related, in the sense of he's progressing well. We want to see how it looks in OTAs, and if this guy is just not healthy and ready to go week 1, maybe we'll revisit Aaron Rodgers, see if we can bring him back. I don't think it's more about money in terms of getting a pay cut. I think we just want to make sure JJ McCarthy is good. And if he looks good, he's our guy, no doubt about it. Right? You can't, if you sign Aaron Rodgers now, McCarthy comes out and OTAs blazing, well, it's kind of too late to undo that. But if he comes out, knee's still bothering him, have to manage it, still rusty. I mean, he didn't practice at all last year after the first preseason game. If he can't hit the ground running, that's when I think they're like, hey, maybe he needs some more time. Maybe a half year on the bench could do him well. Let's go revisit the Rodgers well, or at this point in April, May, see who else is out there. I've seen Kirk Cousins reunion floated out. Like, I think that's to me.
I don't get the
trading for. I don't know why Kirk would go back.
That's what I said. We're actually in lockstep here. Why would Kirk want to? Like, you're a backup right now. So do you just view Minnesota as a destination where you could maybe get on the field quicker? I would actually argue that there's a longer shot and chance that you get on the field quicker in Minnesota than Atlanta. Not anything against Michael Penix Jr., but Michael Penix Jr., even though JJ just got hurt, but up until the last 2 to 3 seasons, he suffered a lot of injuries in his career.
He did. I mean, thankfully for him, he's healthier at Washington. But yeah, it's one of the, that, or unless he wants to pull a Tanya Harding, just kind of hit JJ McCarthy's knee in practice one day. All of a sudden,
goodness gracious!
Here's Kirk Cousins back under
going
center
for the overnight job, and now he's basically advocating murder.
No, I said no murder. It was a leg injury. Number one. Number two, I'm just saying it. I would never do it. But if you're Kirk, you're going back to Minnesota, go from one backup job to the next. Maybe it's with not the best intentions.
The new league year started on March 12th. Was that last week?
It was. Today's the 19th. Exactly a week ago.
So last week when the new league year started, Peter Schrager had a tweet saying for Aaron Rodgers, it could take up to 4 weeks.
Okay.
So that would take us, this is week 1, 2, 3, that would take us to April 9th. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is signed by April 9th?
I don't know. I'd probably say no.
He's a drama whore.
I would probably say no. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy. I don't have a problem with him waiting.
April 24th.
Will he be? I think so. So I think the teams, essentially it's the Giants or the Steelers, right?
It's going to be the Steelers, right?
I would agree. But also, again, it seems obvious, right? The two teams, the directions they're going, you'd much rather go with Pittsburgh. Why is that deal not done yet? Why is it not signed yet?
Here's the interesting thing. Do either team just says, bleep this, we're not waiting anymore? Do either of them have the stones to say, Rodgers, we're setting you a deadline? If not, then we'll just sign Russell Wilson. That's the part that I'm curious to see if either of those teams have the stones to do that.
I think if you're the Steelers, you're more likely to put a deadline than the Giants, right? I think because if you're the Steelers, you still have playoff aspirations. You want a quarterback in there. Let's learn the system. Let's get him in there and get going. Versus the Giants,
but the Giants have to know because the Giants need something now. And if you let's say Rodgers signs in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And Russell Wilson goes, well, I don't want to wait. And let's just say he, for example, signs in Cleveland. Then the Giants are kind of out of luck in the veteran names that are available. Like what, Jameis Winston then would be your guy. Like I don't think you're trading for Kirk Cousins. Joe Flacco doesn't move the needle for me. So then for the Giants, you got to hope that either Shedeur Sanders is there at 3 or you got to trade up to 1. And I don't know if Tennessee's going to trade the pick.
But I think don't they have to do that anyway? Like you said, Jameis Winston's not moving the needle for you. I agree. None of those guys, though, are moving the needle for you. Like if you're the Giants in 2025, there's no quarterback you can acquire right now that's truly changing this team's trajectory. It isn't all about the future anyway.
Well, if you do so in the draft, I think so,
yeah. So it's like these free agent guys, that's why I think the Giants have less of a deadline. Because it's really they're nameless, faceless, interchangeable. Because really the entire Giants, we believe, right, their fortune will be centered around a quarterback, whether it's Cam Ward, Shedeur, if they sit there at 1 or sit there at 3, trip to whatever it is, right? That's still the main focus. Then the veteran guy, even if he starts week 1, is still kind of like the afterthought. Okay, our rookie quarterback's still the guy, but now we'll just throw this veteran in again, nameless, faceless for a week, 5 weeks, whatever it may be, till our rookie's ready. Both Shedeur and Cam have played a while. Do you need to sit them? I don't probably say no.
I would say no. Yeah. So rank these options for Rodgers in terms of what you think will happen. Steelers, Giants, retire.
I think
most
that
likely,
order.
least likely.
That order. Steelers, Giants, retire. I don't think he's retiring.
Okay.
He likes the attention too much. He's never going to, even if he retires and does a show, podcast, whatever, he's still never going to get the attention he gets now as a player. I think he's not ready to give that up. I still would say Steelers, Giants. He would just go for the playoff chase.
I'm trying to think the last time I interviewed for a job, by the way.
Did you technically interview for this role?
Yeah, when I was filling in on the show, that was my interview pretty much.
You're talking about actual sit down, face-to-face with the bosses. Did you do an interview for your 6 to 10 show?
No,
before you got here?
No, because I was at a different company for 3 months, and they called me and they said, we're interested.
Did you interview for the different company?
Yeah, I did have a conversation. Like, they knew me already. It wasn't like a formal interview. Like we sat down, like we talked, but it wasn't anything crazy.
When you did overnights on Saturday and Sunday here on the Infinity Sports Network, did you have an interview?
They had me come in and do three weekends of shows, and that was the audition.
So you've never in the radio industry?
No, that's not true. My first job out of college I think that may have been my
sit down, face to face.
Actually,
boss in the room.
97.5 The Fanatic, when I did Eagles postgame, I think was my last formal interview with the boss. And then when I did 920 The Jersey, this guy David Bevins hired me. That was a sit-down interview. I don't think I...
Did you wear a suit?
For the interview at 97.5 The Fanatic, I think I wore jeans and a button-down. For the one in New Jersey, I think I wore a suit. And the guy asked me, he did the cheesy radio bit, funeral or job it? Oh, I'm not doing the job interview.
Boy, that's tough.
Yeah, it was one of those
comedy and radio
kind of moments. Yeah, no, but
plummeting.
Did the interview go well? Not to get into too specifics.
I think so. Also, I don't really know, but I think so. I think it went well.
How many bosses were in there?
2.
2? Okay,
2.
So my sources are right.
2 bosses.
Best question you were asked.
Oh boy. What is the Ryan Hickey Hick at Night experience?
Oh, okay, so you don't really want to get into the details.
Well, no, that was the best question.
Tight-lipped. Smart. No, you should be tight-lipped here.
What do you want me to say?
All right, What's more likely? Let's go around the room here.
Oh, boy.
We get a new overnight host first, or Aaron Rodgers picks his next team. Stu?
I say Aaron Rodgers first.
Okay. Samter?
Oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. We're not getting our overnight host for another at least 8 months.
I think you couldn't be more wrong. I think we will have a new overnight host before we have an Aaron Rodgers decision.
I'll say this. Stu had the line of the day. He goes, new pope first.
Either you guys interviewing
Stu!
Well,
You're killing off the Pope.
I was gonna make a white
Holy cow!
I was gonna make a white smoke joke. That's a good job out of you, Stu.
Oh my God,
Samter, you going for the overnight host? No? Yes? No?
Have you heard me talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear me for 4 hours when they're trying to get to and from their overnight jobs.
Stu, you going for it?
Oh, yeah. Plenty of hosting experience here.
Uh-oh. Hickey's sweating. He's sweating right now.
I would love to if it wasn't 55 degrees in this room.
New overnight host or Aaron Rodgers? Decision. I think we'll have a new overnight host first.
I think Aaron Rodgers is coming sooner than later. I'll say Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
In the next week or two.
Gotcha.
Within the next 2 weeks.
So we will monitor. You know what? We should like TMZ style. Ryan Hurley's office. We'll pay someone that's like new around here, and we'll give them like lunch, or I'll even dig into my pockets and pull out a few dollars and just have them sit outside the office and be on overnight watch to see who's interviewing. Because you're the first person that I know that formally interviewed. I'm sure there probably were other interviews, but you were the first person that I've seen in the building interviewing. Okay. I'm sure there were others.
I haven't seen anyone else. I believe I'm the first, but I don't know for a fact. I didn't ask, but I think you're right.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't be worried about everybody. Only worry about yourself.
That's right.
You know?
That won't help me out.
Well, confidence, Hickster. Well, yeah, I would not do that.
Yeah, watch that hand motion, buddy.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking of it that way. I was just like, the thing that I hate the most with Hickey is when he's like, so-and-so wins, yeah, let's go, No, I just did the hand motion. Jesus.
Oh, I'm pulling that.
Yeah, of course you are.
I'm making a GIF out of that.
Yeah, you'll probably put in your saved photos for later or something like that.
Whoa!
You would say GIF, too. You definitely would be a GIF guy.
Final four. Who's your final
four? Who's the GIF guy? The guy who invented the GIF. He says it's a GIF.
Final four.
Houston, Alabama, Auburn, St. John's.
Wait, say that one more time.
Houston.
Okay.
Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn, St. John's.
Oh, okay. Good.
Cougs.
I only have one team.
Oh, my God.
In your final four. And Houston was mine. Duke, Michigan State, Florida, Duke. Duke win it all. You know what I hate about March Madness? Now, I ended up taking 3 1s and a 2. Like, I'm not going to sit here and if I get this stuff right, throw it in your face too much. But the minute the bracket came out and the teams were released, when they were doing the boring reveal show on CBS, get Fanta on there, CBS, get Rothstein on there. I thought that show needed a little bit more oomph, little energy. All right, we need some oomph. But I saw the bracket was released, and I just jotted down the 4 teams I thought would go to the Final Four, and like everyone had the same Final Four as me: Michigan State, Florida, Duke, and Houston. What's your biggest take here? Like your biggest upset?
Keep an eye out. Lipscomb over Iowa State. 14-3.
Okay.
The boys from
Iowa State,
Lipscomb.
One of their marquee players is out, I'm pretty sure.
Second high leading scorer out. Mm-hmm. They shoot a lot of threes. I'll take him. I'll take him a little upset here. And
I heard that you picked McNeese to beat Clemson, and then Will Wade saw that take, and he's like, oh, my coaching career is screwed. I got to leave.
Sweet 16, I had McNeese. I had him in the Final Four last year, so I really toned it down this year.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That was a bracket in the first round, right, last year?
They did. They lost in the first round. Okay. That was the Purdue bracket. I didn't trust Purdue, and of course Purdue went to the final.
Is it contentious around here with the people in the building all going for the overnight job?
I have not seen many people, so no. Okay. But I'm a nice guy.
Boylan didn't try to like body slam you. Shep didn't try to shank you.
Shep, I haven't really seen Shep in a while, but he's a nice guy. Like, if they want to fight me over, beat me up.
That actually would be a Royal Rumble for the overnight job. Yeah, throw like EJ, Shep, Hickey, Boyle. I don't know if any of these other guys are going. Gresh, the big Fajita, Mark Ryan. I'm just naming anyone on the weekends.
If you're named the big Fajita and you lose, I would say Rich Herrera's got my money to win.
I don't know. EJ's a huge wrestler, huh?
I'm worried that EJ's going to blow his knee out, though.
Oh, you're a terrible human being.
Fair.
That's a little too soon. It's a little too soon.
When does the window close for that? And now the joke becomes acceptable. That happened in what, June?
Oh, honestly, the jokes were good 2 days
An hour after it happened?
While he's in the ambulance, the jokes were good.
Oh, Samter's one of those guys, too, laughing as it happens.
Yeah, Samter bailed in the kickball game. He's the first one to make the joke about poor EJ. All righty. Well, good luck.
Hey, thanks, man.
We appreciate you joining us, obviously, each and every Wednesday. Now, if you get the overnight job, will you still come on with us on Wednesdays?
Sure. We can make it work.
Okay. But you won't be coming in studio. It'd be via Zoom. You'd be like, all big time, I'm a host now. I'm a douche, all that stuff.
Oh, my God. You're probably just waking up around now. Did it for 2 days a few weeks ago.
Oh, how'd that go?
Upside down. Good. It was fun.
Yeah?
It was a lot of fun, yeah. Didn't fall asleep in the air. We'll take it.
You got it. All righty. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. Take 5 Wednesday coming up next. The best NCAA tournament shots. Stu, that's not you take a shot of alcohol. That's shots on the basketball court. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The football season might be over.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is.
But don't you worry, there are still rankings to be made. So get ready as Zach gives you his top 5 in this week's special edition of Take 5 Wednesday.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Alrighty, let's get to a little Take 5 Wednesday on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And today's topic, top 5 shots in the history of the NCAA Tournament. And I think there are 2 shots that are going to be left off that could be a little controversial. Now, I don't know if this one has the history, and I don't know how significant in history this shot is, but it's one of the most memorable shots for me. Not just because of the actual shot, but a certain reaction to the shot. We go to the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. This was Georgia State and Baylor. 14 seed Georgia State in 2015 going up against number 3 seed Baylor. First round NCAA Tournament, 57-56. Georgia State won the game because of this R.J. Hunter shot.
Hunter across the timeline. 56-54 Baylor. Hunter gives it to Shipes. Back to Hunter for 3. Good! 2.6 to play. Georgia State takes a 1-point lead. The shot knocked Ron Hunter right off his chair.
Now, the reason why that's so bleeping awesome, and, I remember the TV broadcast because Lapis was doing it. And he was like, they gotta go. They gotta go. They gotta go. And it was like, oh, no, yes! When the shot did go in. And he goes, that was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But Ron Hunter, the coach, who suffered an injury, he's coaching on a chair. And when his son hits the shot, and at the time he's the coach of Georgia State, now Ron Hunter is the coach of Tulane, he just falls right off the chair out of pure elation. So that moment to me is number 5 and at the top 5 shots in the history of the NCAA Tournament. We then go to an iconic one coming in at number 4. 70-69, Valparaiso takes down Ole Miss, 13 beating of 4. We take you back to 1998. This courtesy of CBS when Bryce Drew had this magical shot.
The inbounds pass to be thrown by Jamie Sykes. Carter pressuring. It's to Jenkins, the Drew for the win. Good! He did it! Bryce Drew did it! Valpo has won the game! A miracle!
And that goes back. We start things off. R.J. Hunter, Ron Hunter, and then Homer Drew and Bryce Drew. So a lot of father-son start off this Take 5 Wednesday on the 5 best shots in the history of the NCAA Tournament. I thought this one, if Gonzaga did go on to win it all, could have been higher up on the list. But we take you back to 2021. Gonzaga, undefeated at the time, right? They ended up losing the national championship game, but they're up against the 11 seed UCLA Bruins, Final Four, when Jalen Suggs, half-court, winner to put his team in the national championship. This was 93-90 in favor of the Zags. This courtesy of CBS.
Zach again with the ball in his hands. In the paint, floater, short, got it back, ties it with 3. Gonzaga has time to do something. Suggs for the win. Oh, yes! Unbelievable! The perfect season remains on go. Oh my God! There is. There are onions, Jim, and then there are major onions and a kiss. Oh my goodness! One of the great games.
And I remember him because that was still during the COVID time, so there was like barely any fans in the building. He's standing up on the scorer's table, Jalen Suggs, celebrating. And could you imagine if we had a full crowd for that? That would have made the moment even better. And Bill Raftery, there's nothing like it this time of the year. Ooh, onions, a little kiss, onions, ooh, double sauteed. Unbelievable. Stu, though, didn't get onions on his cheesesteak at D'Alessandro's. Oh, you did or you didn't?
I got onions. I didn't get the peppers.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right. So you got D'Alessandro's, a cheesesteak with onions. Love Bill Raftery. Let's go to Christian Laettner. This is when it was CBS Radio Sports, not CBS Sports Radio, CBS Radio Sports and Host Communications. 1992, we take you to the Elite Eight in at number 2. Duke and Kentucky. Duke wins 104-103. Do we even need to tell you who makes the shot? Well, we'll do so anyway. Christian Laettner.
Bobby Hurley up the floor with Laettner. They throw it to left of the floor. Laettner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Laettner has hit the bucket at the buzzer. The Blue Devils win it, 104-103. Look out, Minneapolis! Here come the Blue Devils!
And then finally, we take you back to CBS. Villanova, UNC, in the championship game. I'll never forget this. I remember this sequence perfectly. The acrobatic shot by Marcus Page. Now, I think the Elite Eight game was in Philadelphia, where UNC won. So they win the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. I'm in the locker room post-game interviewing Marcus Page. Marcus Page then changed his Twitter profile picture to me and him. He has the net around his neck that they cut down, and I'm in his Twitter profile picture as this shot, right, as they punch their ticket to go to the Final Four. We know they end up getting to the national championship game, and you have Marcus Page with that acrobatic shot. Then Oshefu mopped it, was mopping the court. Arche Diacono flipped the ball to Chris Jenkins. Jenkins for the championship, obviously. And he hits the buzzer beater. Rolly Massimino, late great Rolly Massimino. The elation that he had. Jay Wright, how stoic he was. And how he was just bang, and then acted as if nothing happened. He was just shocked. But this was the call courtesy of CBS on the Chris Jenkins buzzer beater.
They go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer.
So there you go. Those are my 5 greatest shots, in my opinion, in the NCAA tournament. R.J. Hunter, Bryce Drew, Jalen Suggs, Christian Laettner, Chris Jenkins. I know there's 2 egregious ones that aren't in there. I'll give you my explanation why. So, Moist Mike, speak now. Forever hold your peace.
I'll get to those 2 egregious ones later, but let's get some of the other ones that were fun and interesting. First, we have UNI, Northern Iowa, 11 seed versus number 6 Texas. This was back in 2016. Paul Jesperson with the game-winning half-court buzzer beater. Why is that not in there?
So, I just am a sucker for Ron Hunter falling out of the chair. You know, I understand the history of the R.J. Hunter shot. There's others that have greater history on this list. But father-son moment, son hits the shot, ill-advised three-point attempt. He makes it from way downtown, and then the dad falls out of the chair. That's just the emotional moment for me. It really is.
All right, well, you might be too young for this one to really fully remember, but Tyus Edney, 1995, UCLA was the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Everyone had them winning the tournament. They were down to Missouri in the second round, the 8 or 9 seed Missouri. Ties Edney goes behind his back, coast to coast, lays it up at the buzzer for UCLA. They go on to win the national championship. That could be in there too.
It's actually funny because we were talking about this yesterday when we were going through this, and I know that's not even the egregious one that I had. I seriously thought about putting that one in there because they did go on to win the championship. It's a remarkable play, right? But it's so, I know he goes from, coast to coast, but the actual shot was right in front of the basket. And that was a differentiating factor for me.
All right, now here come the two egregious ones. Yep. Here's the first one, 1983.
Ack is really mad at my list, I could tell.
Yeah.
Because Ack put the headset on.
Yep.
And he looked like he was ready to just spit fire and absolutely eviscerate my list because Ack is awesome with history. Ack is now sticking out his tongue right now like he's a fire-breathing dragon.
Fire.
You are very, very upset with me.
His face has gone from red to purple. I'm assuming because this one and maybe the next one as well.
Yeah.
1983, Lorenzo Charles catching an air ball, dunking it in for NC State. Jim Valvano running on the court, going crazy, losing his mind. How could that be not in your list?
It's a great moment. If it was iconic moments in the NCAA tournament, that's easily in the top 5. The name, though, of this exercise and the topic was greatest shots. It was an air ball first, and then it was put in, like right in front. It's an incredible sequence, but greatest shots, that to me, it's such an important moment. You can't tell the history of college basketball without it. But it wasn't some incredible shot. It was grabbing an air ball and putting it right there into the bucket. So that was my reasoning for that, Mr. Ack.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't hate the explanation.
I don't hate the explanation.
All right. Now this one I think is the one that Ack is a little unhappy on the one that I left off.
This one might be the most egregious. The year before Lorenzo Charles, they're on Tobacco Road.
Yeah.
They're at North Carolina, the Tar Heels. A little-known player who you may or may not have ever heard of. His name was Michael Jordan, middle name Jeffrey, with UNC down by 1 to Georgetown and Patrick Ewing. Michael Jordan hits a game-winning shot with about 7 seconds left, and then the next play, James Worthy steals the ball for UNC to seal and clinch the win. An epic, absolutely momentous moment in the national championship game. And unlike Jenkins, where it was a tie game, he misses it, go to overtime. This was a down by 1. Jordan's shot put them up by 1, and it's Michael freaking Jordan.
Yeah, so
Michael Jordan.
This was the one I felt the worst about leaving off. Because, I'll even admit it's stupid when, I get the sentimental father-son moment between Ron and RJ Hunter. It's kind of crazy, though, and this is a dumb explanation. I'm saying this from the start. Jordan's career is obviously so iconic. When you talk about Michael Jordan's career, do we really mention the UNC days all that much? We mainly talk about Michael Jordan, the NBA player. So it should absolutely be in the top 5. But I just feel because of the Jordan legacy and how great it is, it's a moment that we really don't even talk that much about when we talk about the great career of Michael Jordan. And I know Ack will not like that explanation.
Nah, not really. The only thing I could say is it wasn't at the buzzer.
Okay.
And Georgetown had a chance to win the game, but they threw it away.
Yeah. So you look at that sequence a little bit more important than the shot?
No, I think the shot is one of the most iconic in NCAA tournament history. But when you go for buzzer beaters, I could say, all right, well, that wasn't at the buzzer.
Okay.
But that's in my list. That's okay.
Gotcha. Do you have any other ones that you're
Keith Smart for the national championship in '87. March 14th, 1981, the day the madness was born.
Right here.
Within a span of a few minutes, St. Joseph's upset number 1 DePaul, going the length of the floor and getting a layup as time was running out. Minutes later, U.S. Reed of Arkansas knocking out defending champ Louisville with a half-court heave. And then a little while later, Rolando Blockman hitting a jumper to upset Oregon State, which I believe was, if not if not second. I think they were certainly in the top 4. They may have been 4th that year.
Mm-hmm.
So those definitely come to mind right away.
You're a good sports trivia guy, right?
Not really.
Really?
Yeah, it depends.
But like you're awesome with dates, I would imagine.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
So
we should find a challenge for acting.
And another one in I think it was 81. Danny Ainge going the length of the floor to upset Notre Dame.
All righty, look at the act, man.
The buzzer beater at the I should say a layup at the buzzer.
We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, Jaxson Dart or Jalen Milroe, who should be QB3 of this draft? Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the tournament begins in earnest tomorrow. McNeese State head coach Will Wade breaks some news at his press conference today, answering yes when asked if he was in touch with NC State. And according to reports, he's agreed to a deal to become the school's next head coach. The other coach in that matchup tomorrow, Clemson's Brad Brownell, reportedly gets a 6-year extension from the school. The NCAA Tournament continues tonight with the first 4. It'll be Mount St. Mary's and American in Game 1, and the second part of the doubleheader features Xavier and Texas. Sean Miller still looking for that elusive trip to the Final Four after coming close at Arizona. His Musketeers are among the hottest teams in the tournament. We're entering the tournament, finishing the regular season with 7 straight wins before losing in the Big East tourney. The Xavier coach just getting to this field is an accomplishment.
I don't think it's ever been more difficult to be a part of March Madness than it is right now. And it's so competitive, never more parity that has existed in the sport that we are all part of than right now.
Aaron Rodgers' choices are dwindling, with the Vikings reportedly moving on and committed to JJ McCarthy, who missed his rookie season with a knee injury. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Uber Eats is delivering game day deals from hundreds of your local favorites all week. Order now on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details. If I laid into the accent. Uber Eats. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This was Aaron Murray with us yesterday saying his quarterback 3 in this draft class is actually Jalen Milroe.
Go back and watch that Alabama-Georgia game. Jalen made Malachi look so slow. I was shocked. He made Malachi look like his feet were stuck in sand. I mean, that's the type of athleticism that quarterback has. And he made Georgia's defense, 3 guys going to be drafted in the first round, look slow. He has it factors that excite me, that if you can figure out a way to kind of bottle some stuff up, you could be talking about a pretty special player eventually.
So you would say your 3 quarterbacks in this draft are Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, and then Jalen Milroe 3 if you were a GM?
Yeah, those are my 3 if I'm a GM. I'm going with those. You know, I'm not down on Jaxson Dart at all. There's just nothing elite to me.
So Jalen Milroe today at Alabama's Pro Day ran a 4.37 40. That's what he ran in the 40. I've said this before. I'm not really interested in the quarterbacks in the draft unless if they're not named Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Like, those are the 2 guys I think are going to be, if they're going to be good quarterbacks in this draft class, hot take of the day, it's going to be those 2 guys. But if you said, okay, who is 3? I don't think it's Kyle McCord. I know Kyle McCord had a very good year at Syracuse, but up against Ohio State, I know he beat Notre Dame, but he should have thrown a pick. And then also that last game up against Michigan, you know, he threw the interception to Rod Moore. So I don't think it's McCord. Tyler Shuck, I'm sorry. To me, he's a backup quarterback in the league. Will Howard has backup quarterback vibes to me. So it really comes down to, do you go Jalen Milroe or do you go Jaxson Dart? I'm a little bit surprised you haven't heard more Dylan Gabriel. Because I remember at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, when I talked to him, I put out some video of my conversation with him, and Orlovsky, who's really good with the draft stuff, right? He does college, he does NFL. Orlovsky's like, don't be surprised if he's a first-round pick. And I looked at a quarterback ranking the other day. I had him at like QB 7 or 8 of this draft. So I look at the 3 best quarterbacks in this draft. I would say Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and then if you have the top 3 spots, like who's the third spot, I think you consider Jalen Milroe, you consider Jaxson Dart, and I'm going to consider still Dylan Gabriel. Now, Gabriel's size is a concern. And he did bounce around a bunch of places, and he was good at UCF, he was good at Oklahoma, and he was very good at Oregon. But to Murray's point, why I think Aaron Murray is right, if you don't love any of the quarterbacks, you look at who has the highest upside. And I hate when people say, oh, this person has the highest ceiling. Drives me nuts. Do you have enough tape out there that could actually suggest that you could reach that ceiling? That's a big thing for me. And I remember Hickey and we almost got into a fight in the newsroom over Anthony Richardson. He's like, oh, he's got the highest ceiling in the draft. I go, give me 5 moments that suggest to me in the college career of Anthony Richardson that he could replicate that in the NFL to reach what you think is a high ceiling for him. You know, same stuff was Trey Lance too. How'd that work out? But I look at Anthony Richardson, Jalen Milroe. He does give me Anthony Richardson vibes. But for Jalen Milroe, that first half up against Georgia is a moment, right? Is a big moment. And you look at someone like a Jalen Hurts and the style of how much he runs, and Hurts has a much better arm than Milroe. It's like, can you get Milroe to be Hurts? Can you? Now, Hurts had a lot more time in college, 2 different stops, and he had a lot higher success rate than Jalen Milroe. But I look at Jalen Milroe, him as a thrower of a football at times is just so flat. He is either on and he looks unstoppable, or he's off and he looks miserable. There is no middle ground for Jalen Milroe. But I don't love Jaxson Dart. You know, I watched Jaxson Dart against Georgia, Kentucky, Florida. I was never blown away by Jaxson Dart. And Gabriel probably has the best tape and the most tape to be QB3, but that lack of size is a concern. So if you want to run a ton and just develop him as a passer, I guess Jalen Milroe is 3. So pretty much, it's a long answer. I'll condense it. I want Cam Ward. I want Shedeur Sanders. Everybody else, who gives a rat's ass? Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We're coming on back. We're talking potential new rules in the NFL next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Some potential rule changes that could be coming down the turnpike to the National Football League. These are some rule changes that have been submitted. Once again, not altered yet, not agreed upon, not voted yes or no, just submitted. Here's one of them. The Green Bay Packers. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I usually say go Pack go here, but I can't say go Pack go here. Stu was thinking I was having a Mitch McConnell moment there for a second. That's his name. I'm pretty sure the politician. But anyway, I don't like this. The Green Bay Packers are proposing a rule change to prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. So they are trying to ban the tush push, the brotherly shove. I don't like it. I am in favor of pushing the tush. All right? The tush push. I'm in favor of it. I'm giving Samter and Stu just drops. But, like, what are we doing here? So Green Bay loses a playoff game. Oh, we don't like the tush push. Wah! Like, bunch of losers. I like the Packers, too. I'm usually pro Green Bay. But this is just weak sauce to just a different degree by the Green Bay Packers. It's like, what, should we not allow a QB sneak anymore? What's next? We're going to say, a screen pass. It goes for too many yards, so we're going to prevent that. It's football. Line it up, man versus man, and you know what? If you get down to the 1 yard line, stop it. Right? Like, Buffalo had problems with it. The Eagles just run it better than anybody else. So I am not in favor. Like, we'll go around the room here. Do you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down? I am thumbs down to the Green Bay Packers request of Bannon pushing the tush with the tush push. I'm in favor of the tush push. Stu?
Yeah, major thumbs down to the Packers. You should keep the tush push, learn how to stop it. At some point, teams will figure it out and it'll normalize itself.
All righty, Samter, do you like the tush push?
100%. Now, if every team in the NFL was doing it and doing it well and it was successful no matter what.
Then a little monotonous, sure.
Then maybe, okay, fine, maybe it's just. But there's only one team that can do it. So why are you penalizing this one team who's just mastered this one play? Learn it, master it, get better at it.
Yeah, I just think that's good football, right? You know, you designed to play. You came up with something different. You got the hog mollies in the trenches, right? Winning that right up at front. And then you got maybe a little like Saquon Barkley pushing Jalen Hurts. I got no problem with it.
And if you want to start saying, okay, now let's get rid of, offensive linemen helping to pull or drag or push a running back for an extra yard or two. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, you can't stop players from trying to help their teammates from doing that. But if you are going to get rid of the tush push, you have to get rid of all situations where all players help their teammate try to get an extra yard.
Yeah, so let's not have any extra effort. If a running back's downfield and needs 2 more yards, I don't want to see any linemen start, or a quarterback or whoever, a wide receiver start pushing a running back. That's a very good point, Samter. So we're all in agreement. The tush push should be allowed. Next rule. This is from the Detroit Lions. To eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. Samter, thumbs up, thumbs down on this rule proposal?
Thumbs up, but there's a gray area, but mostly a thumbs up. There's nothing worse than a 3rd and 16. You get an illegal contact,
that's
2
away
yards from the
play.
line of scrimmage, and now, boom, automatic first down. However, the last thing you want is some guy who gets just beat like a drum, and now he's holding really hard on what obviously would have been a first down or what would have been a big catch. So it almost reminds me of when they had the intentional or non-intentional face mask, where it was kind of subjective, and 5 yards for accidental, 15 yards for a really bad one. I would almost like to have that. If it's a really bad hold down the field that actually impacted the play significantly, fine. If it's a illegal contact 2 yards from the line of scrimmage that was on the other side of the field that the receiver wasn't even looked at by the quarterback, then definitely not an automatic first down.
So I'm actually going thumbs down to this. I thought I was originally going to go thumbs up. And here's why. You said gray area. I think you were onto something. If you tell me, okay, pass interference isn't a spot foul anymore, then I think maybe for this, then we're okay. I just think it's too gray to determine illegal contact and defensive holding. Those things aren't an automatic first down. Wouldn't be an automatic first down. But then what's going to get called pass interference? That's such a razor-thin margin, illegal contact, defensive holding, and pass interference. I think either you just make it right, and I know pass interference would still be a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down for the sake of this, but I think you need to change all 3, or you change none at all. So in this case, to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defense holding illegal contact, I'm just going to say it, be more disciplined. And I'm usually in favor of helping out the defense. But in that case, if you make a stupid play on the opposite side of the field that has nothing to do with the play, yeah, it stinks, but be a smarter football player. So I'm going thumbs down on this. That would be my vote here. Stu?
I'm with Samter. I am thumbs up on this. Now, I agree with you. There are gray areas, so it would need to be ironed out more. But I think the offense, especially passing game, has probably too many advantages in this day's NFL. So I think, we see these games where it's just ridiculous and it's just so many of these fouls called. And I just feel like the defense is at such a disadvantage. So I think this would kind of help that a little, but it needs to be ironed out.
Now, this is the next proposal from the Eagles. This is a long one. Just the way that they word it's not that confusing, but it's just long the way that they worded it. To align the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams the opportunity to possess the ball regardless of the outcome of the first possession, subject to a 15-minute overtime period in the regular season. So, in the regular season right now, if you get the ball first and you march down the field and you score, game's over, right? In the postseason, if you march down the field, score a touchdown first, the game isn't over. The other team gets a chance to respond. Now, I think in the regular season, if you march down the field and you get a field goal, the game's not over. The other team then gets a chance to respond. And then obviously, if you don't do anything when you get the ball first, then it's sudden death after this. So I think aligning, I know in hockey, right, you have the shootout in the regular season. In the postseason, it's just sudden death overtime. I'm fine with the shootout in hockey in the regular season. I am after you get 5 minutes of overtime. In the NFL, though, I never understood that in terms of, and I've kind of been a proponent of, you just like, I guess the clock really doesn't matter that much. It does in the regular season, not in the postseason. But I would just, in the NFL postseason, I would align it with the regular season. So I would say thumbs up on this, that both teams get a chance to possess the football. I think if you make, it's such like a minor change. It's not like two totally different overtimes. It's such a minor change to do like how it is in hockey, where it's two totally different things. In the NFL, I think that they should have identical overtimes from the regular season and the postseason. So I give this a thumbs up. Stu?
Yeah, I'm with you. In baseball, too, now is different, right? Because
that's right.
The ghost runner goes away in the postseason, and they play, how many innings you need with the...
I feel like you hate the ghost runner.
I love the ghost runner.
Really?
For the regular season, I love the ghost runner.
Yeah, everyone bitches and complain about it. Like, I don't, for the regular season, I don't have that big
Don't need 16-inning games in
like, maybe
August.
in September, I don't need it if it's like the last 2 weeks of the season, if there's like a major playoff implication or something like that. So,
but yeah, I'm thumbs up for this. I'm kind of with you. I just think there's no reason why both teams shouldn't have the opportunity to score a touchdown. Like, if a team scores a touchdown, the other team should be able to get the ball, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid how in the postseason, it's, both teams get a chance to get it. But in the regular season, if you score a touchdown first, then the other team doesn't get the ball back. That makes no sense to me. All righty, Samter, you for this?
No, thumbs down for this.
Really?
One. Yeah, especially if they're going to start. They already added a 17th game. They're going to try to add an 18th game. Now you're trying to extend overtime.
But they don't care about
5
player safety. Is it? Are you a player safety argument guy here?
It's not even a player safety thing. It's just like, you know what? It's the regular season. If you can't stop a guy from scoring a touchdown overtime, in the playoffs it's different.
Well, you know what?
Season,
ironically,
this will lead to more ties, I think.
I used to. Well, that's a good point. Well, wouldn't you just go for two then?
Yeah, I guess you could.
Right? Like, wouldn't I just, if I'm at the end of the game, now, if you need a tie to get in the postseason, it's different. But instead of kicking an extra point, wouldn't you just go for two and you try to go win the game right there? I've said this, and this was my original take. Remember when the Chiefs bitched after the AFC Championship game with the Patriots? Kind of what you said. That was my original take, but since they already changed it, that's why I would just make them identical. Is, we do so much that basically, in this game where my take was at the time, it was pretty simple. It was like, defense, stop them. Like, you got a chance to stop. I know you're winded. I know you're like sucking air and all that stuff, but just stop them. It's all you have to do is just, if you hold them, I think, right, if it's on a touchdown, you should make a stop. Like, that's what I would do. But hey, that's already past that point. Anyway, last one here. So this one I think is interesting. The Lions have proposed a postseason format to allow wild card teams to be seated higher. Can you take me higher than division champions if the wild card team has a better regular season record? So, for example, this year, the Minnesota Vikings, double-digit wins, had the second most wins in the NFC. But since they didn't win the division and the Lions won the division, the Lions got the 1 seed, the Vikings had to go on the road, and the Vikings had to be the 5th seed because you have your 4 division winners get a home game. Samter, you thumbs up or thumbs down in this rule proposal?
This is my biggest thumbs down by far. Divisions mean something. You play teams within your division twice. So I don't want to, I wouldn't want to
take away from that.
Well, yeah, or help a team who's in a bad division who just happens to win more games because they're in a bad division. Divisions matter. You win your division, you get a home game. You don't have to get a bye, you get a home game. It's a reward, and it's worth it.
Stu?
This is my biggest thumbs up.
Ooh.
I love this.
Why? Because you think there's going to be 1 year the Raiders win 14 games and they don't win the division?
Because they're never going to beat my Chiefs.
This is definitely not built for the Raiders. I just feel like there's too many years where, let's just use the NFC South, for example. A team gets in with 7, 8, 9 wins. And then there's a team in another division that
Remember the Commanders were like 7 or whatever, and the Bucks too. Yeah,
it was the NFC West 1 year.
Yeah, the Seahawks, I think.
Yeah,
no, it was wasn't it the Rams?
I think it was the Seahawks with Marshawn Lynch, and they won a home game.
Yeah, and they actually won
a
home game.
Against the Saints. I also think the Rams, Bradford, may have been his rookie year, or maybe that was the last game of the season or something like that. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
I think every division gets their team in. I think that's enough. I think if you win your division, even if even if there's a wild card team with more wins ahead of you, you still get into playoffs, and that's fine. But to be awarded a home game against a team that could have 2, 3, 4 more wins than you, I think that's ridiculous. So I would get rid of having the division, home field advantage, home game for just winning your division. I think that doesn't have to happen.
This is the one I'm most split on. Because I think you're both kind of right. And I know that's so lame. But I sit here and I hear Samter say it and I go, yeah, I don't want to take away from the divisional games. It's so special what we do in the NFL and how much those division games matter and all that stuff. But then I'm thinking to myself, like, I could have 13 wins. I could play in a tougher division. And then, some slap you-know-what team plays in some slap you-know-what division, and they get a home game where I have to go on the road, and I know I'd end up be playing that slap you-know-what team in a 4-5 game, but you're on the road. I think this is why I lean more towards Stu. I'm going to cross-pollinate here. You go to college football. I've been an advocate of saying, hey, if you win your conference, you just get a spot in. You shouldn't get a top 4 bye, right? That's something I've been saying since that new format to 12 teams come out. That's the deciding factor for me. I try to be consistent, and I think if you win your division, you should get in, but I don't think you should be guaranteed, a top 4 seed. Is the way that I would put it. So that was the differentiating factor. But, man, that was the toughest one to answer.
It's funny how all three of us were so adamant. You were the most split. I was the most down. He was the most up. So that was a controversial one.
You know what? It's kind of like I was what Jalen Milroe needs to be. Like, you need to find a middle ground. There's a little Stu there. There's a little Samter. Very few moments where it's all the way at the tippy top of the mountain where he's unbelievable. Then you're all the way down at the bottom. You got to find the middle ground. So Jalen Milroe, when you tie your shoes, like Mike, great movie. Be like Mike. Now you'll say be like Zach. You just got to find the middle ground there. That's what I do. If you want to chime in on any of these rule changes or potentials, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476.
There is one rule change that I want to propose.
Oh, wait. If you were the commissioner or if you were one of these teams, there's a rule that annoys you that you want to change.
As the New York Jets representative, long time, forever
Real quickly,
New York Jets fan.
Before you do that,
yes.
I just want to make this stance clear because I've changed this through the years. I am in favor of the fumbling out of the end zone rule. Is this the rule that you're trying to change?
No, but I hate that too.
So here's why. We take away so much from the defense. So much. It's impossible to play defense. And I used to be like Samter, where I would sit there and I would say, you fumble it out of bounds at the 1, you get the ball back. You fumble it out of the back of the end zone, and then you lose the ball and the other team gets a touchback, it's maybe the one rule in the NFL that benefits the defense. So as a defensive guy, I'm going to say I am in favor of keeping and not changing the fumbling out of the back of the end zone. I know that's a very unpopular take. So a lot of people are going to slide into my DMs and be mad at me. But what do you got?
This is not that, but I do not like that rule. This also does actually help the defense.
No.
I hate the 10-yard penalty for holding on offense. I hate on 1st and 10, you run the ball up the middle for a 1-yard gain. It's a little bit of a hold. You grab the jersey, and you're back up. Now it's 1st and 20 after a 1-yard run. Here's how I would fix it, though. On a pass play, 10 yards. On a run play, 5 yards. But it shouldn't back you up 10 yards if you hold a guy on a run play that's going to at most lose you a yard or two. It makes no sense to me.
You could have given me 9,000 guesses on what you're going to change. I don't ever think. So you're saying, let me get this right. If there's offensive holding, you don't think you should only think it should be a 10-yard penalty if it's a pass and 5 on a run?
There's nothing worse than on 1st and 10
How does
to
that
start
benefit
a possession.
the defense? Didn't you start this off saying that benefits the
No,
defense?
the rule now benefits the defense.
Oh, okay.
My change would probably help the offense a little bit more. But there's nothing worse as a fan than watching your team.
Well, don't hold.
Yes, but so many of these holds are subjective, and so many of them are ticky-tack, especially on like a 1 or 2 yard run. Where like
Are you trolling me?
At most, you're going to lose, 2 or 3 yards on a run play? Who loses 10 yards on a run play? It makes no sense that on 1st and 10, you have a little ticky-tack hold, and now you're starting at 1st and 20. You're so far behind the sticks, it changes the entire drive. Games, seasons, championships have changed hands because of that stupid rule on a dumb run play.
Well, don't hold.
There's holding on every single play.
Yeah, and you know what? Every kid knows this that ever played offensive line. There was always a thick sumbitch that would walk in, right? I just love saying it that way. There was always an offensive line coach in high school, wherever the biggest coach in the coaching staff was, and they would grab the lineman by the face mask the first day of two-a-days. I'll never forget this. Middle school and also in high school, and they would say, you block here. You're inside. They would also maybe make a sexual reference. That probably wouldn't fly these days. But back then, even I could be a back in my day guy now. Oh, I am getting old. This is not good. But you got to be inside. Once you go outside the numbers, once you grab on the shoulder pads or out, that's holding. So like, you're in favor of holding is what you're telling me. Don't hold.
No, I'm not in favor of holding, but the penalty is punitive on a run play. Because even if it is a hold, because oftentimes it's subjective. Sometimes you look at the play, you're like,
shouldn't all holds be created equal?
No, I don't think so. It's the same thing with the pass interference that we were talking about, or the face mask call. Not all plays are equal. On a sack, you can lose 10, 12, 15 yards.
Yeah.
So I get it, a 10-yard penalty on a pass play because you're avoiding a sack. But if you're holding on a run play, how often do you lose more than 5 yards on a run play? Rarely, if ever.
No, Stu, how much do the Raiders lose on a run play?
I'll tell you, this rule that he's creating would really help the Raiders because I've seen a lot of holding penalties. A lot of holding penalties.
Let me tell you, Samter, I think whenever it's your time to go, we need to donate your brain. Because that's the most I have never heard someone advocate this. Like, you could have given me 3,000 guesses. I would have never said Mike was going to tell me only 10 yards on a pass play for holding, 5 on a run play. It's a peculiar one. I give you credit for it. I'm not in favor of it. I'm giving you a thumbs down in terms of actually changing it. But you said you're representing the Jets, right?
Yeah.
So another bad decision by the Jets, pretty much. That one to me is the most peculiar rule change I've ever heard. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We will come on back. Aaron Rodgers, what should he do? I got the answer next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Let me just make sure that this is legitimate before I say it. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, has a new member of his coaching staff. Byron Leftwich is on the coaching staff at Colorado. So former Bucs OC Byron Leftwich is back in coaching, according to Jordan Schultz. You know, I'll tell you, Jordan Schultz is starting to enter the circle of trust. He said, Ian Rappaport, oh, no, you didn't. Little Starbucks punch, I'll serve you up a little humble pie. I like Ian Rappaport. But Jordan Schultz had that little kerfuffle at a Starbucks on his home turf. And the next thing you know, Schultz, he's getting scoops left and right. But he's back in coaching and is joining Deion Sanders' staff at Colorado. Now, a little demerit there. And we'll take a point off for Jordan Schultz for not calling Deion Sanders Coach Prime. Leftwich interviewed for multiple NFL jobs this past cycle. Pat's head coach, which was a fugazi interview anyway. Seahawks offensive coordinator, but now makes his move to college. So Byron Leftwich, he joins Warren Sapp, my best friend, and Marshall Faulk, who in the last 2 years, all those guys have joined the staff at Colorado. So congratulations to Byron Leftwich. I'll never forget watching that game with my dad when he was the QB at Marshall, and he had to get carried down the field on that game-winning drive when he was injured, Byron Leftwich. We'll never forget that. Also, so Darian DeVries, we talked about this earlier. He is now the new head basketball coach at Indiana. His son, Tucker DeVries, who was at Drake and now is at West Virginia, he has entered the NCAA transfer portal, according to On3 Sports, with a do not contact tag, according to Pete Nakos. Now, this is the second time I've seen this today. You could enter the portal and you could, basically, do not disturb on your phone. Do not contact me. I kind of like that. I think we should actually have that policy around here. We should have a do not talk tag, where if we go into the newsroom and someone just spewing takes left and right, trying to do a show in the newsroom, when we come out of the studio while we're doing a show, sometimes some people get a little chattery here, a little chatty. I could have a bib or something that I wear around here that says do not talk and put that tag out there. Because there's a few people here. There's some people I like, but then there's some people, they try to basically do a show during the break when I'm just trying to go get a water or a coffee, or I'm trying to go to the bathroom or something like that. And it gets a little bit confusing in the newsroom.
Does the name begin with an A and end with a Gallo?
No, I actually like my conversations with Anthony Gallo. I've never seen Stu laugh harder. I like Anthony Gallo.
Not wrong.
Me too.
But you're not wrong. He does do that. I would not put the do not contact tag up when I do see Anthony Gallo. Now, let me tell you something. When you two bozos are talking soccer, that do not contact tag would 1,000% be up. I like to hear you two guys talk soccer. And you know what, Stu? I'm a big fan of Azarm, who filled in for you. I like Alex Azarm. I can't take him talking soccer. He makes you two not even look like soccer fans. Oh, my goodness gracious, when you were out. I thought I had a headache. I thought I was drunk and had a hangover, and he just wouldn't shut up about the soccer.
If you think that's annoying, then sorry, Stu. Just wait till the Club World Cup kicks off here in the States. We're going to have matches some of the best soccer clubs in the world here at MetLife Stadium, here in New York, New Jersey. We're going to be going to games. We're going to be wearing our scarves and our jerseys. We're going to be talking soccer all day, every day. We're less than 3 months away from the Club World Cup.
Hey, Siri, set a reminder to call Steve Apria to cut the cable cord in the studios. All right. Well, what's the date for this little tournament that you guys coming up, Sam? What is it?
It's in June.
We are 87 days, 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 19, 18, 17, 16 seconds away until it kicks off.
What kicks off?
It's the FIFA Club World Cup. So it's the best teams.
That's
it's
the guy you made me meet at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so the FIFA World Cup, which is the countries, that's in 2026.
Yeah.
But in 87 days, we get the Club World Cup.
That was the first time I've ever really seen Samter suck up to somebody. But at the Super Bowl, this guy, I'm not comparing you to this person, but if you ever were to have a Peter Schwartz moment, it was clear. You were like, meet this guy. We're going to get Zach involved in soccer. We'll talk about it. Santa's like, yo, you got some tickets pretty much? Like, you didn't say it to the guy, but I knew what Santa was scheming there, and I appreciated the scheme.
I mean, he was a bigwig at FIFA. This is like, the organizing body.
Who? What?
Yeah, exactly. The organizing body of international soccer. He's like a bigwig there. So,
by the way,
if
today
you're gonna suck up, that's the guy.
Today is a national holiday. It's a big national holiday. Anyone know what national holiday day it is?
National Daughters Day.
No, it is Women Empowerment Month.
They
had Women Empowerment Night last night at the Rangers game. The Rangers were just disgraceful up against the Calgary Flames. Stu, do you know what the national holiday is today?
No idea.
It is the New York Yankees food tasting day.
Oh, I saw
So this is a national holiday for Peter Schwartz. Can you imagine, just to get free food? He lives on Long Island. That is not an easy commute to get to Yankee Stadium. And this is a yearly tradition. I enjoy it every year where Peter Schwartz goes and covers, eats, and samples all the food there at Yankee Stadium, all the new additions.
And posted on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? I actually may apply to be the social media intern for this new Arena Football League like version 8.0 where Peter Schwartz is the GM. Because I think I could pick up the social media game for Peter Schwartz. Just some of the posts that he makes about this. I kind of want to help him. I want to be a good person here, but and the photos that he took at the stadium were absolutely horrendous. I used to photograph food horribly. It takes one to know one, Peter. I'm helping you out here. But, geez Louise, he made a good-looking hamburger look horrible. And it's tough to make a hamburger, a cheeseburger look bad. The only time I've ever seen a worse hamburger, this is now 2 political references in the show, and we do not usually get political, was Senator Schumer. Remember when he did the 4th of July barbecue? You don't remember this? And he put it was frozen patties. He didn't even let the burgers cook the burgers and dogs. And right away, they were just put on the grill and it looked absolutely rancid. So Peter Schwartz, if you want me to do an internship, I will be your social media coordinator for whatever league now that the New York Dragons, I think they are coming on back. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476. I'll find a dime. I'll put it in the jar or something like that. Anthony in Myrtle Beach is next up. Ant, what's happening?
What's going on, fellas?
Doing great. What do you got for me?
I got 2 things. I think Mike is onto something with the holding. They should do it like Madden, for example. First down, you get 6 yards. Second down will be a 14-yard penalty instead of a complete 20. So that's a benefit.
Okay.
And the second thing is playoffs. If a 7 seed beats, say, the first seed on a divisional, they then take that platform of the first seed.
Wait, so you're telling me you think if a 7 seed beats a 1 seed in the playoffs, they should then become the 1 seed? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, why not? Because they then take the top dog, so now they get home field advantage. And they're going to play in the divisional round, say for example, whatever.
But why would you then penalize a team that was better in the regular season and they didn't lose in the playoffs? They would get penalized by that.
Because obviously, if they're in a division, let's just say, for example, Steelers is 7, Baltimore's 4, and Kansas City's 1.
Okay.
Baltimore didn't beat Kansas City enough to even take first. But if whatever I said beats Kansas City, they should take the first. It's just a jump around. It's just a way to give other teams a way to jump up. I mean, you're only getting 1 home game, but it's more or less bragging rights. Why not?
All righty, Anthony. I appreciate the phone call. Here's why that makes 0 sense. And let me tell you, Samter wants to change offensive holding.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Okay, so if it's a pass play, you keep it 10-yard penalty. If it's a run play, it's only 5 yards. I'm like you. I was lost by that.
Yeah.
But that's opened up Pandora's box where Anthony in Myrtle Beach calls in. And now he's saying if you're a 7 seed in the playoffs and you beat a 1 seed, you should become a 1 seed. Here's why that makes no sense. Let's say the 2 seed doesn't lose a game. The 7 seed keeps winning. So the 7 seed, who was not better in the regular season, gets to, like, say, the AFC Championship game. They're now the 1 seed, and the 2 seed, all they did was win, but they get penalized.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, makes absolutely zero sense to me. Anyway.
I understand where he's coming from, strangely enough, but makes no sense.
Yeah, but we appreciate it.
It's like one of those things, like, if your team loses to Duke, and then, another team loses to Duke that, by a wider margin, that your team is that much better.
By the way, you're in a very good mood today.
Why is that?
I know why you're in a good mood today.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Because everyone was on their shine box.
Yeah, that's
shame
right.
UNC for getting into the tournament.
It's a crime, an injustice, they said.
And you knew that UNC was going to win last night.
Oh, yeah, they heard it.
But not only did they win, they beat San Diego State like a drum.
Yeah.
So you're in a good mood today.
I'm very good mood.
They going on a little bit of a run here, the Tar Heels?
I have them beating Ole Miss, but
do you?
Yeah.
Well, that's not.
But
good.
we'll see.
I have Ole Miss going to the Sweet 16.
Oh, do you? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, you never know what happens.
I like Chris Beard.
I will say, a very good coach. But I will say this though, one of the reasons I picked them is because sometimes look, go back to FDU 2 years ago or Virginia Commonwealth. Sometimes you start earlier and you're kind of warmed up, so to speak, by the time you get to that first round game. And the other team is kind of still finding its legs.
Yeah, I wonder if UNC, though, just exhaled a little bit. Like they got all that frustration on San Diego State.
I don't think so, but whether they can, look, they're not going to duplicate that performance, but whether they could be a facsimile of that still remains to be seen.
The one thing, though, is Chris Beard is really feeling himself lately, and he is really going after it with the media. And a lot of the things he's saying is right, but it worries me a little bit when you're that boisterous, even though I appreciate, like Bruce Pearl. I love Bruce Pearl. He said his guards aren't putty cats, meow, trying to clean that up.
Yep.
And he's, they didn't end up winning the SEC.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, and I know that the comments were made directly before it, but they've lost 3 out of the last 4. I just sometimes wonder if those things end up playing a factor. Anyway, question before we take the break. Aaron Rodgers should retire, sign with the Steelers, or sign with the Giants. What do you go with there, Ak?
Retire.
I'm with
Please.
you. I've had enough.
Look, there's a reason he's still out there, and the only teams that are desperate for him are those that are losers. Any winning team has its quarterback.
Well, I wouldn't call the Steelers a loser, but they haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
Yes, I mean they
you're not winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they desperately need a quarterback, and they're not as much losers as the Giants have been. But
I'm just done with Rodgers. Like
he's a lot of I mean, people.
He was fine the last 10 games of the season, but like the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. And I just I'm good. He's not going to another Super Bowl. I've seen enough of Aaron Rodgers. Just retire at this rate. You wanted to go to Minnesota. Minnesota basically told you, thanks, but no thanks.
We got our guy.
And if you really wanted to go to the Steelers, you would have signed with the Steelers today. Instead, he wants to just be an attention drama guy.
And the other team is if you're a team right now, and that's why I say attaboy to the attaboy Spider to the Vikings, is that we're trying to make plans. Like if you can't figure it out and you want to go on vacation, that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
But we're gone.
Even Cam Hayward was fed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Attaboy Spider. I agree with you.
I love.
I'm right in agreement with you.
Attaboy Spider.
Yes, this is for you.
Aaron Rodgers should retire, sign with the Steelers, sign with the Giants. That's the poll question at Zach Gelb at INF Sportsnet. 10% say sign with the Giants. I think that's just Sean Marash voting. 26% say sign with the Steelers. 64% say retire. So I think a lot of people are just fed up with Mr. Rodgers. All righty. News brief next. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, the Vikings are saying thanks, but no thanks to Aaron Rodgers, saying that JJ McCarthy is reportedly the priority, and they are moving on from the 4-time MVP. McNeese will face Clemson tomorrow, and there's news regarding both coaches. The Tigers' Brad Brownell reportedly gets a 6-year extension, while Will Wade is going to be joining him in the ACC, with the Cowboys coach reportedly agreeing to a deal for the same post at NC State. The NCAA Tournament continues tonight with 2 more first 4 games before the madness tips off in earnest tomorrow. Mount St. Mary's takes on American in the game 1 tonight, as Dwayne Simpkins led Maryland to the tournament as a player, now has a different perspective, leading the Eagles into the field of 68 as a coach.
I told them how much and how bad I wanted it for them. I know how much they've been through. So to see them get a chance to experience this, this is priceless for me as a coach.
Xavier faces Texas in the second part of the doubleheader. Shohei Ohtani didn't disappoint in his return to Japan. He had 3 hits in the first 2 games of the series, including a home run today, leading the Dodgers over the Cubs by a score of 6-3. Roki Sasaki went 3 innings in his major league debut and gave up a run while walking 5. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, it's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Rob in Boston. I wonder if this is Boston Rob, Survivor and the Traders. Just wondering. I don't think so, but you never know. Zach, did you see the photo over the weekend of Bill Belichick with his girlfriend? You could submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I did. And you know what? It's kind of creepy. She's 24. Bill's 72. And I'm actually impressed by Belichick, not in terms of the relationship, but the photo. So he's lying down and his legs are up in the air and his girlfriend is like spread out on his feet. And he is hoisting up the girlfriend. 72 years old. And Belichick doesn't look like he has this great core, but in this case, I think he maybe does. But yeah, I think the whole thing is like, this is a guy that used to say Instaface and Snapface. Like, he would never come close to anything on social media. And now his girlfriend is parading him around social media. I walked past Evan and Tiki during the break. This actually has to do with this, too. They had Evan, who is not very athletic, lying down playing the role of Belichick. And then they had former, at the time, CBS Sports Radio, now Infinity Sports Network host Sean Marash being the role of the girlfriend. And Marash is, even though he's lost some weight, he's looking better. He is still a large fella. So if they tried it the other way, like, well, I don't know if Marash could even lift his legs up in the air like that. But if Marash was playing the role of Belichick and Evan was playing the role of the girlfriend, maybe that could work. But having Marash be the role of the girlfriend, it did not work out well.
We should have Samter do that with you.
I think I would have to have my legs up in the air, and Samter would have to play the role of the girl there. If it went the other way, it would be splat Samter. All right? There would not be anything left of Samter.
Samter would have to play the role of the girl. That's my life. My life in summary.
All righty. Let's just get to a news brief. Go ahead.
time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Let's go to Jamar Chase, why he likes Cincinnati.
For me, I like Cincinnati because it gives me the opportunity to come here and focus. You know, I'm not distracted out here. It's not too many things to get me, off pace out here, and it's strictly what I'm focused on. That's really tunnel vision for me to play football. So, at the end of the day, the food's not the best. We can work on that, but I'm from New Orleans. I'm not used to the food yet.
He basically said there's nothing to do. The food sucks, so I have to be focused all on football. Respect. Here is Adam Schefter. He makes it clear on the Adam Schefter podcast that the Cowboys wanted Cooper Kupp.
Last Thursday, the Cowboys reached out about Cooper Kupp, and they were interested. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, the way I understand it, were on the phone with Cooper Kupp, talking to him about the idea of coming to Dallas. And it was floated out there. And then the Cowboys heard the numbers, and they were at numbers that the Cowboys weren't going to get to, which brings Seattle back into play, which leads to Cooper Kupp getting a deal done with the Seahawks.
So the Cowboys, they said they wanted to be selectively, aggressive, I think it was. So they were being selectively aggressive here and still couldn't find a way to get the deal done. What a disaster. Here is Seth Trimble on the critics saying that UNC didn't deserve a spot.
We're not looking to send a message to anybody else. We're just looking to compete as a team and be the team that we know that we're capable of being. And I think we did that tonight. We want to do that when we get to Milwaukee and go from there. But, we hear what people say. We don't really care about it. It is what it is. We're focused on us.
And let's hear from Hubert Davis on blocking the outside noise.
I consistently send that message in a number of different ways because that's the only thing that we have control over. And so why waste time doing anything else? And this group has been one of the best at staying connected and staying the course through windy and turbulent times.
And then real quickly, here's Amar Knox on hitting the game-winning shot last night for Alabama State.
We wanted to, throw the ball long, and we put our tallest athletic person to go get the ball. And fortunately, everybody took the ball, and it landed to me, and I got the rebound, made the layup. But we executed a play that we pressed on all day in practice, our game plan, and it worked.
So there you go, Amar Knox. Congratulations to him and Alabama State advancing to the real NCAA tournament since they're out of the first four, and they're off to the round of 64, where in all likelihood, unless it's UMBC or Fairleigh Dickinson, you're going to be going home after that. But a cool moment right there, no doubt about it. Stu, Samson, thank you. Ack, thank each and every one of you for calling, listening, tweeting, watching. Thank you as well. Big thanks, in addition to Hot Take Hickey, Luke Hancock for joining us. Talk to you tomorrow, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.